What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. There's lots of twists and turns at last night's Raw as it featured a surprise appearance, a big chance at the Raw Women's Championship match at Money in the Bank, and an almost sized Money in the Bank qualifier. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of the Red Brand, including the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including John Laurinaitis replaced, a big demotion for several Raw stars, a title change on main event, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. As always, we won't recap the matches, but just provide you with the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, Elias is awesome. The Elias storyline is fantastic and a rare case of a seemingly stupid premise turned into a pleasant surprise. We'll admit when we're wrong when we thought the Ezekiel Elias mystery was a one-note premise with no potential. This is actually some of the WWE's best work in a long time. All 3 wrestlers involved, okay 2, have done great work getting this over, and our only question at this point is how much longer before Kevin Owens checks himself into an asylum. Number 2, Veer. Veer's promo was his best yet, and whilst that's not saying much, it served its purpose, getting him over as a monster who likes to hurt people. Veer is a cool catchphrase, and we enjoyed the big man peppering his promos with some Hindi in there. If the WWE can find a good opponent for Veer, he could be built up into a solid star as his previous promo problems appear resolved. Number 3, Miz and Ciampa. Fans worried about Ciampa's push on Raw might be happy after seeing what could be an alliance between Ciampa and The Miz. While the partnership is definitely an apples-oranges one, its oddness might turn out for the best as long as Ciampa doesn't serve as The Miz's lackey. Number 4, a meh matchup, but one that serves a purpose. Last night's match to determine who would replace Rhea Ripley in the Money in the Bank Raw Women's Championship Challenge served as a reminder of the good and the bad inherent in the saying, card subject to change. They deserve credit for booking a good, if not great, fatal 5-way match between Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Liv Morgan, Asuka and Becky Lynch to determine who will face the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. Sadly, it's difficult to think of anyone worse the WWE could have picked as an opponent, unless Nikki Cross was in the match. Once again, Carmella has found herself in the women's title picture, despite a complete lack of single success in recent memory. The only good thing about this match is that it doesn't affect the women's ladder match, otherwise Carmella's win is a loss for the fans who should be getting a solid title match at Money in the Bank. And number 5, The Real Nightmare. A move over Rhea Ripley because Asuka is the real nightmare, at least for Becky Lynch. Last night's main event was an excellent match that shows you how you can book main eventers without directly involving the World Championship. Obviously, both women want to win the Raw Women's Championship, but this program isn't about their bid to win the belt, but how Asuka keeps getting in Becky Lynch's way of regaining the belt, giving both women a solid storyline to entertain the fans while giving Bianca Belair other challenges for her Raw Women's belt. But that was a good. What about the bad? Is number 1, Judgment Day done? What happened to the Judgment Day? The once white-hot promotion has turned ice-cold thanks to the WWE's decision to drop Edge from the group, denying the faction of both its best talker and legitimate main eventer. The unexpected loss of Rhea Ripley, who seems like the best talker in the group right now, due to an undisclosed medical reason, has only made things worse. The WWE needs to tune the group up or it's going to go the way of retribution. Number 2, Vince's creepy cameos. Some people are calling Vince McMahon's recent appearances on TV tone-deaf, as it shows his lack of sensitivity to the gravity of the allegations against him while he graces the fans with his presence. Now, we call them creepy cameos as everyone knows what Vince is accused of, yet he acts like he's done nothing out of the ordinary. Perhaps he feels nothing to feel guilty about, but it's kinda random seeing him on SmackDown, Raw, with nothing to give. When are we gonna see him next? NXT 2.0? Number 3, a stupid storyline. While fans haven't been able to comprehend the reason behind Vince McMahon's brief appearances on SmackDown and Raw, the current storyline, if you want to call it that, involving the size of the Miz's balls, is a sure sign that Vince McMahon is still running things behind the scenes. Vince's fascination with 5th grade humor is as strong as ever, and McMahon's self-indulgent storyline is doing little, no pun intended, for the Miz or his apparent new dancing partner, AJ Styles. Number 4, Wrecking Riddle. Having almost beat Riddle was inevitable as the WWE obviously has big plans for the Nigerian giant at Money in the Bank's men's ladder match. Still, did Riddle have to serve as Omos's sacrificial lamb? When you remember that Omos just lost a series against Bobby Lashley and Riddle just wrestled the WWE's head of the table, the squash loss made Riddle look bad. They could have put someone else against Omos and kept Riddle out of the Money in the Bank competition. Now, there was nothing downright ugly about last night's Raw, as it had some excellent angles, including Asuka proving to be Becky Lynch's kryptonite, the WWE beginning a potentially huge feud, and the awesome angle involving Elias, Ezekiel, and Kevin Owens. What do you guys think of Raw last night? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Now, first story looks at Laurinaitis replaced. Now, topping today's news is more fallout from the WWE's hush money scandal, as Bruce Pritchard has now replaced Laurinaitis as the WWE's head of talent relations. PW insider Mike Johnson broke the news, saying WWE issued a memo to talent this evening following Raw, announcing that Bruce Pritchard is the interim head of talent relations going forward. As you've undoubtedly heard by now, Laurinaitis was named along with Vince McMahon in the scandal involving alleged hush money payments to former female employees in the WWE. There was considerable speculation as to when Laurinaitis' alleged involvement in the scandal would be addressed. WWE also informed talents that pending the conclusion of our board of directors' internal investigation, Laurinaitis, who's not been on the road since the investigation was publicly revealed, has been placed on administrative leave. Pritchard, best known for his on-screen role as a televangelist Brother Love, had an even longer career backstage. Pritchard's 2019 return has been seen by some fans and wrestling analysts as a sign that Vince McMahon wanted someone familiar with how he likes things handled in WWE, i.e. the Vince McMahon way. Pritchard is seen by some as the ultimate yes man, which has some critics arguing Vince is still controlling the WWE from behind the scenes. Next up, WWE's plans for Riddle. It looks like the WWE may have revealed its plans for Riddle after last night's Raw. At least Dave Meltzer thinks so, as he shared his thoughts about things on the Wrestling Observer Radio. I didn't think he was going to win, but I didn't think he was going to be tree slam and then another tree slam and then Rollins would lay him out, and obviously the idea is with Cody out that Rollins, who is, top heel on the brand, probably isn't going to be doing a program with Riddle, and there's nothing wrong with that. Seth Rollins continues to shine as Raw's top villain, and it makes sense for the WWE to utilize his recent attack on Cody as a way to build programs where the WWE's babyfaces seek revenge on Cody's behalf. Riddle could certainly benefit from a program with the Visionary, as he comes up short in a number of key matches, including him and Randy Orton, dropping the Raw Tag Team Championship to the Usos, his recent loss to Undisputed Champion Roman Reigns, and last night's loss to Omos. Next up, Vince settles a case with Oliver Luck. Interesting news is Vince McMahon has settled former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck's lawsuit against him. The case was scheduled for trial but settled out of court, with some believing Vince didn't want any more bad publicity or he wanted to be able to focus on the hush money scandal. Next up, WWE doubles down on dumb demotion. Now, bad news if you're a fan of the Judgment Day and or the Mysterios, as the WWE has doubled down on a dumb demotion by putting both groups on main event, the WWE's equivalent of AEW Dark, or should it be AEW Elevation? Apparently, the WWE figured out that as long as they put both groups on the WWE C show, why not have them wrestle each other? Whatever the reason, it's bad news for the Judgment Day, as the group has gone from sugar to shit ever since the group dumped leader Edge for no apparent reason. The only explanation we can think of is that someone challenged the WWE writers to figure out a way to outdo itself in ruining a great faction as they did with the Hurt Business. As for Rey and Dom, let's hope the WWE hasn't given up on the long-rumored feud between the two, as it has potential to take Dominic out of the tag team ranks and test his viability as a single star. At the same time, a father vs son feud could provide Rey with a high-profile program as his WWE career begins to wind down. And finally, a title change on main event. Last but not least, speaking of main event, the WWE's network program featured a not-so-major talent change, with Doudrop defeating Dana Brooke for the 24/7 championship. Okay, maybe none of you care, but there it is. The first title change on main event. But there you have it, guys. The good, the bad, and the downright ugly of this week's Raw, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.